Before there were temples of stone and books of law, there were trees. Tall, strong, and rooted in the earth, trees were among the earliest symbols of the sacred. They reached into the sky while anchoring deeply into the ground. In their branches and roots, ancient peoples saw the meeting of heaven and earth, spirit and soil, divine and human. For those who honored Asherah, the tree was more than a symbol. It was her presence. In the ancient world, Asherah was often represented not by statues but by living trees and wooden poles. These poles, called Asherim in the Hebrew Bible, were planted beside altars, placed near temples, or raised in sacred groves. They were not idols in the modern sense. They were markers of the divine feminine, standing watch over places of worship, just as she was once believed to stand beside the high God. The Bible mentions these poles many times, often in the context of destruction. Kings are praised for cutting them down. Prophets rail against their presence. But this tells us something important. The poles were everywhere. They were beloved by the people. They were part of the rhythm of faith, even when the official religion tried to remove them. What did these poles look like? We do not know exactly. Some may have been carved with symbols or faces. Others may have been plain and smooth. Some scholars believe they resembled stylized trees, while others suggest they may have carried images of Asherah herself. Whatever their shape, they were powerful enough to draw fierce resistance from reformers. They were not forgotten relics. They were living reminders of a different way of relating to the divine. Alongside the pole, the tree continued to hold sacred meaning. In many ancient Near Eastern cultures, the tree of life was central to religious imagery. It stood in the divine garden, guarded by gods and flowing with nourishment. It was not a forbidden object, but a source of blessing. In Asherah's worship, the tree may have been more than a symbol. It may have been the very space where she was invoked. Archaeologists have uncovered altars surrounded by tree imagery, as well as ceremonial objects adorned with branches and leaves. In these findings, we see that the worship of Asherah was connected to nature, to the cycles of growth and renewal, to the sacredness of the earth. Her presence was not hidden in dark chambers but celebrated in groves, gardens, and homes. Other symbols also followed her. Among the most striking is the lion, a creature of power, protection, and dignity. In some artistic depictions, Asherah is shown standing on the back of a lion or flanked by two lions. This was not uncommon for goddesses in the ancient Near East. The lion represented royal strength and divine authority. For Asherah, it showed that she was not a passive figure. She was a protector, a queen who commanded respect. The serpent also appears in connection to fertility goddesses. Though later cast as a symbol of deception and evil, the serpent once represented life, transformation, and sacred knowledge. Its shedding skin and coiled form were images of rebirth and mystery. In some traditions, Asherah may have been linked to this creature as well, though the evidence is more subtle. These symbols, the tree, the pole, the lion, the serpent, tell us something that texts alone cannot. They show us that Asherah was woven into the lives of ordinary people. She was not distant, she was near. She stood in the fields, in the home, in the grove outside the city. She was honored in ways that were deeply physical, connected to the rhythms of birth, harvest, and protection. When you picture her, do not imagine a statue in a museum. Imagine a fig tree, heavy with fruit. Imagine a mother kneeling before a wooden post, whispering thanks for her child. Imagine a lion carved on a household wall, its face fierce and proud. These are the forms she took. These are the ways she was remembered. Even when her name began to fade, her symbols lingered, and in that lingering she waited.